for sewage disposal system would be way, way much lighter than 40 condominiums. So there's a lot of flexibility in the front of this. As Al said, that we barely reach out here to US 31 in the corner. Our entrance is way farther off of that corner. And the amount of traffic that would be generated by this type of use is way less intense than either condominiums or the park, or even Torch Lake Cafe. A lot more traffic out of that than there would be out of ours. We don't see this as any kind of a safety issue for vehicles. It was brought up a little earlier by someone else too about the possibility of some kind of a bike or walking path that people want to extend down from Charlevoix all the way down to Traverse City. We could possibly join in that. There could be some space on the side of this property reserved to help pass that through if that was something that everybody wanted to do. We can make the space for that, I guess is my point. There's also some room out front, and we still haven't even thought the whole thing, but this is the main concept, these luxury storage units. Each unit, I guess I could describe those a little bit. Each unit has a footprint of about 32 feet by 50. So there'll be 1,600 square feet on the inside with a large door, overhead door, like Al says, to be able to pull in a large motorhome, if that's what you want to store there, or a boat, or 2 or 3, or your jet skis, whatever you have. Cars, people put their cars in them. The front of the property, we also save some space for a more of a public type use, public or quasi-public use, some kind of gathering place. Al has a nice business down in Florida where he stores a lot of cars. And included on his property, there's a Coney? You have a gathering space and a Coney little deli for all the people who store their cars there. So there's a lot of flexibility with this. As we've mentioned, this is a conceptual meeting. It's a pre-application conference. I mean, our purpose here is to present this to you, get your ideas, get your thoughts, and also to get whatever relevant zoning ordinance criteria would have to be met in order for this to be approved. It came up once before. There's the ordinance has a whole lot in it, but there's also a whole lot that's not in it, right? And we've been through the master plan as well, and the master plan does call for hopefully some kind of a mixed use along here. Well, this would fit a mixed use, no problem. We'd have 3, 4 different types of uses on this property. But the main goal here is to build, as Al says, these storage units. And I think we've done a very nice job making them very attractive. A lot of glass, they're very bright. The insides are very flexible. We've got access for walking. The ones in the back will have rear doors to get out and be able to partake it, join on those trails that go out to Barnes Park, out to the bay. There's a lot of attractive things about this site. We are flexible. So, if you have ideas, please, now is the right time for us to help them out.
Yeah, it works for us because people are going to invest in them, then like they're going to purchase them. So they want a community atmosphere too. You get a little bit more with sugar than you do with spice. So, if it's different in a way that you don't understand it, help us clarify. And if it's different,
So the Barnes Park Road is the one doing Third Mile.
That's this road here.
31.
US 31 it doesn't even show up. It's just barely on this corner. Yeah, it's kind of, there's some
cafe road.
And Torch Lake Cafe would be right here. Right.
So our answer is we took that into consideration to make sure that there was no stoppage of traffic. Obviously, if someone's making a left-hand turn or parking, I decided to stop. It's just right, we do like that. But we made it so it's thin, where they're not trying to stop and then immediately get into the, so we left that open. And, we had some different signs that we had presented, how we don't want to be pretentious about what we feel. We want to work for you. If it works for you, then it works for me.
That's a good point. We didn't really mention. Out here on the corner, there's an old stone monument that we thought could be used for a sign that just says something like "Welcome to Eastport." I mean, there's all. We're open to sharing some different ideas what we might want to put there.
The whole concept of investment is to be literally $1 million. So it isn't going to be your storage lot next door that we're going to try to buy in. So we're going to make that look good for you. Our goal is to bring something nice, bring people here that can afford to spend money in your community, our community. If I put this up, it's going to be my community, and I'm running with full time, we'll have it really fun. I love it. For you, so if you come. Keep it whole up. I'm usually pretty good at this way. Anyways, we want to work.
Thank you, gentlemen. Actually, we'll have to hold those for later. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
More come up with the questions.
Do you guys have any questions?
Did you do the lot coverage calculation and impervious calculations?
We did. I don't have that with me. Our engineers did it, and we meet those. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. There's impervious area calculations, there's lot coverage calculations, there's landscaping requirements, obviously. Stormwater retention, all of these, water provision, all of these things had been preliminarily figured out to the fact that we knew they were feasible, we could do them when it was 42 residential condominiums. This use is much less intense on the resources, on the water, on the sewer, on the traffic, on the schools, on everything. So yes, Sarah, yes, I know, I don't have the information here with me, but I know that because this is less intense, we have no problem meeting all those requirements.
Okay. Because it's only 50% and 55 for impervious, so.
It looks cluttered because of the way the drawing is done, but if it turns out
Okay.
that we're 56, 1% over, then we would lose a unit. I mean, we have to meet the requirements of the ordinance. That's a no-brainer.
Thank you. That was really helpful for me. From the email, I didn't get the picture of what it was at all. I think I was like storage, period. So that was very helpful. Thank you.
We're using your terminology.
It will be used for storage, we just hate that word. So we're trying to. Storage, gathering,
It's an atrium.
man cave, yeah, she shed, and my wife tells me you don't forget.
All these windows on the top of the building are all glass. So they're basically atriums for full lighted buildings. They're not closed in cubicles.
Okay.
We want people to, we want to actually bring their more into the home.
Okay.
That's the concept. Or they're, or they're just family, whatever they were just.
Do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I have a question. You have stated that this would be such less on the septic. I think we would need verifiable proof on that because those are large units. You're going to have a lot of people. Are they going to be using their motorhome to prepare meals? And I mean, tell us how you feel people would use this space.
There'll be, sewers is going to be for the motorhomes, a pump out system. There'll be a system where it collects the
Okay.
waste and then it would be removed, so I don't need the field to disperse the water. So, but the half bath, of course, are going to be used, yeah, people are going to be able to have a bathroom inside the facility. How are we going to go to the bathroom? He has the calculations on that. But when you look at a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom condominium, we're cutting everything by 2/3.
But if every weekend or when people are here, it is the party shed. You've got a
I don't
bigger,
drink and I don't party in that sense, but I do have a great time in my camping. I don't know what the word party and getting together, but yet someone who can afford this, I don't think they're going to be the kind of people that you don't want in your community. I mean, there's chirps everywhere. Everybody's got a chirp. I got a brother-in-law.
well, I was just speaking of the septic, but
I think I can help answer that too. So the units would be permanently connected via piping to an on-site sanitary septic system, tank, field, the whole 9 yards. And there's requirements we have to meet for that, as we're well aware of it. The main field, a reserve field, backup, alarms, everything. And that was, again, it was preliminarily figured out when it was 42 living units. So I know we have the space, I know we can fit and engineer and do what we need to do. To answer your question, do we see people cooking in their motorhome? I don't know. Who would pull into a storage like this, as nice as they are, and use their motorhome as their kitchen for that day.
are they going to use this motorhome for their bedroom?
Yes, absolutely.
They could, yeah, we're not building bedrooms. These are not intended at all to be any kind of living unit. You don't come
But they will
inside.
be staying in there if they're
They
units.
could, they certainly could pull their motor in there and sleep in it for a couple nights, sure. But to Al's point, the motorhomes will not be allowed to discharge sanitary waste into the septic system that's on site. We will have a separate, just like any RV park, you'll pull in, you have your pumping station, you discharge your waste right there. And it's our job, the association's job, to monitor that and then obviously pump it out as frequently as needed. And I imagine also we're going to get car storage, boat storage. I personally don't see 33 people with RVs making this their camp. But it's an option. We want to be flexible.
Well, that was another question because I got more information. I didn't have this packet until I came into the meeting that had the extra information, but, you know, when I looked at your, the pictures that you provided, I'm thinking, you know, we have to be thinking forward. We have to be thinking in the next 20, and I hope even beyond, something that's substantial, you want to be thinking 50, 100 years from now. Lifestyle of people. I would want evidence or some kind of a, you know, the due diligence that you have an audience that when you build these, every time you build one, it's going to be sold. And then we're not going to have a bunch of units that, you know, people just, I mean, because the thing I hear about young people is they want less space to be in and more public space. They don't want big homes. They don't want a bunch of stuff.
You gotta come to Florida.
Well, this is in Florida.
Understand.
This is northern Michigan where people are very active. We're using the water, we're using bike trails, and the young people are pushing us to do this. And this is a big concern I have, that if we're looking long-term, like we need to be, we want this that's going to go forward and be useful and an asset to our community as we, you know, long after I'm gone. So
As Al mentioned,
that's a
these-
question.
These are, I don't see, first of all, we wouldn't build out a bunch of them that would be sold, that aren't sold. It's a, ownership is a condominium, so each person owns their own unit. And they're set up in buildings of a certain size where, this is a little bit farther down the road, but we would not build a module until we knew we either had them sold or could sell that particular module. We can phase it in such a way that if, God forbid, the thing doesn't go and partially gets built out, that we start in a certain part of the site where the rest of the site could still be used for something else down the road in the future, especially, you know, given the location of the park, that possible bike path, the intersection. This would always be left open anyways. So yes, we certainly don't want to, have no intention of getting started building everything and then not selling it or having them half built. I mean, there's financial guarantees that for condominium construction, you'd have to put up that if something, God forbid, happened to us, the bank, the township, somebody has money to at least finish out the module that got started, the ones that are sold.
7.6 miles down the street, which I don't consider a long way. They just sold out 19 of them. They started at 450. They're down the street. I got the pictures of the names of the websites. If you'd like it, they started to propose that on the 11th of last year, April, in all 19. And they started at 450. And our concept, our look, you can go look it up and you can be your own judge. Potential better looking than then. We're not trying to go for the juggler to make this a huge amount of money. We're trying to get something started as a concept. And maybe we could take it to another place here and there. You know, maybe a little bit older too. I definitely don't have 50 years to think how what the kids are going to do in the past, but I guess you don't want to get started. I have some kids. I like to bring 3 of them over in the military. I don't know what they think and how they think and what they think, but I know if I start thinking more like them, I would probably have to retire right now because they don't think. But I understand you got a commitment to the community, you have a commitment to things too, but you got to also have something to sell. If you don't have something to sell, you won't sell anything. If you don't have a presentation, if you don't have a dream, if you don't have a purpose, and you're letting someone else dictate the purpose, aren't working, a lot of them aren't, or a lot of them don't have to. I don't know how that works out. That's way beyond my thought process as a human being. I try to do the best I can with what I got. And I pray God that I don't lose. I try not to lose. Haven't yet. But I think this is something beautiful for this community. This community, in my opinion, is one of the safer places here on earth. I mean, it's awesome. The water's clean, the people are nice, and there's a lot of space. Just trying to share it with the rest of the people who might be interested.
So let's start with this. What's your price point, not holding you to a number, but just
Price point's gonna start at $249.
249. So I'm a little confused still. We're somewhere between storage and living. I mean, you started off by saying this is someplace where you can camp cleanly, right? You can be outside of the mud.
Yeah, I mean,
But then then you say people aren't going to be staying. I mean, we were very concerned with the 42 units before and the congestion and additional traffic, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to figure out how this is different.
They're definitely not living units.
Yeah, I mean, if
There's
someone wants to
no
stay.
bedrooms, there's no, like,
In the motorhome storage place, they have that option because it's clean. For me, I would use it that way, because I like it clean camping type deal. But I would only be here maybe 10 days out of the year, because I have a business in Florida, and I'm mostly there. I'm planning on staying a little bit more up in this area because the heat's going, because you get a little older, it's hot down there. It takes a lot to do it. So I'm looking for an escape for that and yet stay busy and still have something to do.
the intent is not to be lived in at all.
Right.
It's a storage unit, but it could be a hangout for a day or two or something like that. I don't really know. But it's not conducive, I don't think, it's not inviting to sleep there for a month.
Yeah.
It's just not a living place. I no.
No showers, right?
No shower.
Just a
no
toilet.
bath, Just a half bath, just a sink and a toilet in the corner of each unit.
Okay, so more storage than living, you're saying?
Well, and I would, if you,
The building too, is storage area. This side, these are split in half. So half of this, if you guys can see, is the
There's a large,
living space.
floor plans on one of the.
Right, this part here is all storage, 8 feet wide by 40 by, so your rakes, your lawnmowers, your, the things that your boxes or things, it's a complete isolated storage room that's sealed off from the whole place. So there is actually storage for life jackets, rowboats, that kind of thing inside.
if you're going to offer recreational vehicles that people can sleep in those units, I'm not sure that's something that's allowed by our zoning ordinance. So if that's
Yeah,
important
I
for
was
you
getting
to have available for somebody that you're selling this to, you need to have a bigger discussion.
Yeah, that's partly why we're here. I mean, if it's prohibited, it's prohibited. Then it would just be to pull your RV in to store it there.
Right.
You're not living in your RV while you're parked in there. Again, to me, that's not the most attractive use of this, but I'm not an RV camper guy, so I don't really know.
I mean, campgrounds are not allowed in that district.
Right.
Dwellings are allowed in that district, so we're somewhere
So I'm trying to figure out
between,
where we are here, right?
right? I mean,
What are we
We're
doing?
looking for your guys'.
and I don't have an answer for that right now. I'm just saying that if you want to pursue this further, that's something that we're gonna have to talk about further.
I surely wouldn't want to put something forth on something that I can't judge the people who are buying it. I can tell someone they can't do something, you can't stand it, and then they do your admin. I don't want to be involved. 35 people with 35 wives, with 35 different kids, for 35 different reasons. I couldn't keep that in mind, and I wouldn't expect you to expect me to manage that. So
Well, I
gotta
would-
make it work, so if
Right.
that is the case, it works.
Yeah.
Well, we would just put a condition on it, and then anybody that violated it would be in violation of your permit
I'm
and
not
be
here
subject to.
Not only that,
$500
sir.
million on something and then I'm telling them in violation. I need to know that they can use, if they so please, I mean, I'm just being honest and upfront. I don't want something so bad, I'm gonna tell you what you want me to hear, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear what you tell me that I need to do. And if I can spend my money in those parameters, then I will. But I'm not gonna sit there and say, well, you might stay, you might not stay, but if you do, you're gonna get fined. You might just pay 400 grand for this, you're gonna fine me because I spent the night because, I don't know, no, I don't want my phone ringing.
Whatever.
I want to tell the truth.
Once we decide that, Sarah, we go through the ordinance
Yeah.
together like that. Anything that obviously is prohibited by ordinance, that's against the law, would be written into our bylaws as well. If there's just no cooking inside the unit or no, whatever it is.
So we tried really hard to take the idea we brought you before that you didn't, stand on your head in love. And we tried to make something that was a less, not as big, it was something that would work for you. And if someone's storing their unit in there, obviously they're storing their unit in. Is that unit available to be used while storing it there? I think it is. So I would have to be very clear that all you guys, I'm not here to just try to do something to do it. I'm here to do it so it works for everybody. Everybody's happy. I don't need to leave out there saying, you stayed in your home.
Yeah, I think that was my concern as well, that we don't really have anything that
Yeah,
fits.
that's right. Is it a
Fits
campground? Is it a,
Yeah,
saying condo and you're selling it to people at a pretty good price, by the way?
Right. Yeah,
So
it basically is a home.
And I assume it wouldn't be rented out or,
I don't think it can be. I think, again, there's at least a short-term rental prohibition, I believe, in the township. So again, all that would have to end up in the bylaws. The interior of these, like I said, there's a large floor plan, one of the sheets, but maybe I can take 2 seconds here and kind of describe it. So it's 32 by 50. The big overhead door is right in the middle. So you pull in whatever you're pulling in, the store, drive, boat, RV, whatever. And then to the side, the wings where the ceilings are lower. So right here, that's actually part of 2 units right there.
Mhm.
Half of that goes to this unit, and this goes to that. So these lower sides are just additional storage room. With the one side has the half bath in the back. Those could be flexible and partitioned off any way a buyer wanted to partition them off. A big storage closet for something, or just one big open space for a pool table or something, whatever you want to put it in. A little enjoyment time. But certainly, again, not for the, that was not the intent.
Any other
Or if you
questions?
like the condos, better we go that way.
Any other questions?
And again, I assume there's a minimum number you need to have to make this work financially.
There always is. I mean, this is kind of it. We had 42 residential units before.
You know, we try
We
to-
could go up or down 2 or 3 units, but we certainly wouldn't, I can't do this at 20 units or 25 units.
I think the property's
And-
already
and I
zoned
guess-
for 24 individual single dwellings, is it not?
Well, the old plat, I
The
think
old
there's
lot that
23
was
lots
approved in
on
1988.
the old plat. That's been already built, developed over, the plat went across in US 31. Encompass this property, go to the east across US 31, so that plat's already been exploded and gone. And we have to go through the formality of officially abandoning what's left of the plat on our property. But there's no resident, no living units, there's no plat to speak of. The right-of-ways have already been messed up. I don't know, again, to answer your question, whether it's 33 or 32 or 34. I mean, a lot of it depends on, I think, some of the give and take of what we do with some of the open spaces. We're more than willing to spend some money to make something that the people in the township want with some of this open space. And the trade-off might be, okay, I say trade-off, I mean, part for us, we can't be pushing to where it's not feasible, as you know. And in the ordinance itself, I have yet to find any criteria on how the density is approved. Like, what criteria do you all use to say that's too many or that's too few? I can't find it. I'd like to know, because we would like to follow it.
Okay?
Any questions?
Good? Good, all right. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you,
happy to
gentlemen.
take more questions if they allow you all to continue.
Should we
I don't know, if we do that now or at the end of the public, we can get back up. Sure, if you're-
We need to
It's
move
up to
forward.
you.
All right, hold your comments for a moment, if you would, please. And we'll pop down to the next thing on the agenda, the ongoing reports. So the zoning administrator's report.
You have a copy of it on your desk for the month of March. Looks like this. It's a one pager, talks about permits, and violations and whatnot. Does anyone have any questions? No.
Nope.
Good, Jason.
I'm good.
That's good.
Let's roll.
Great, okay. PC representative to ZBA.
So your PC rep to the ZBA was Kevin, and he's no longer on the planning commission. So we do need to appoint somebody to the ZBA. I don't know if anybody has any interest in it. They're going to be doing a training workshop thing at their regular meeting in March. It'd be nice to have, April. It'd be nice if there is anybody that has any interest or feels like they might be forced into serving on the ZBA to come to that meeting.
Don't even look at me.
You're not eligible. There's.
Thank goodness.
So there's no report. There was a meeting in February. They just reviewed bylaws. So, yeah. If we can hold discussion until after the meeting, please.
Please.
We're almost done.
We're almost here.
One more, TLT board representative.
That's me.
Yeah.
So yeah, last Tuesday at our monthly meeting, the township will be purchasing a new ambulance. We are purchasing a new truck tanker. The ambulance fees have gone up. It's a minimum $1,500 if you need to go in the ambulance. And we hired Farrier Surveying. They're going to survey all of our road ends that the township owns. And they're going to mark them real well. And then we're trying to figure out where we want to go from there as far as cleaning the road ends out. So that's it.
Great. Thanks. All right, now, public comment. It's open. We'll start with Brian. Yeah, if you could, please.
My wife is really efficient here. We understand that, I'm Brian Agar, I live at 5911 North M88. We understand that it's zoned village businesses. Are storage units without living space allowed in village business? We don't know that. They are. Okay.
Well, this is public comment. This isn't really question and answer. So,
Mr. Fellows said that it's about 1,600 square foot per unit. That's essentially the size of a house. And I know some young people that would live in that year round. They would just live there. And it's not that they would own it. Mom and dad would own it. They'd live there. When mom and dad come up for the weekend, they'd go to the local park and stay there, I guess. I don't know. Not much living space, so would people with RVs live in the RV instead of the flex space? They talked a little bit about that and whether that they could have the RV inside. I had a question about outdoor parking. How much parking does each unit have outside the unit? Is it one car, two cars? Let's say a person put their boat in there during the week. They come up on a weekend. They want to put their RV in there, so then they have to put the boat outside or their car outside. I don't know about how much space there is for that. We have a concern. We live right next to the DNR launch site, and it is unbelievable in the summertime. They are parked along 88, both ways, parked in the church parking lot, and 33 units. Half of the units have boats. That's a lot of additional boats. And then the question is, do they bring the boat back to the unit every night, or do they try to leave the boat in the water, and you can't leave it in the water at the DNR site? And I don't think the Torch Park site lets people stay parking their boats overnight. This came up today. Could a person buy one and use it as a small business?
Oh.
I'm,
Just comments. Thank you.
but if it's village business, I have Brian's Home Care. Could Brian's Home Care buy one of those units and run my business out of that unit? It's 1,600 square feet. As a half bath, an area for office. These are just questions. If it was open to small businesses, that'd be a fair-sized strip mall. There's already been talk about busy intersection. And there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I think that tonight's questions will raise more questions. Of this space, they mentioned about this corner being for community stuff. Well, if people aren't going to cook inside, they're going to need to barbecue someplace. And I don't know if that space is big enough or part of that could be used. I don't know. This is all part of the discussion. Then I had a question about whether it's purchased or rented, and Mr. Fowler said that their starting price is $250. Then that raises the question about renting the unit short term. Presently, you can't rent homes in our township for short term, but can you rent storage units short term? I don't know. I already mentioned about
I'm gonna-
commercial living.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
We're coming up on time. If you want to wrap it up, in one more.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
These are the only windows for the units, or no windows in the back? I don't have the paper that you guys have. The back window, we have the same what's up there. Okay, so there are windows here and windows across the top, so there probably aren't windows in the back.
So lots of questions. Thank you.
you.
Appreciate your comments. And then Elizabeth, did you still want to come up?
I'm not sure if I like what you're doing here. The first question is, I've never seen storage unit, any kind of place where they're putting boats, things with no fencing around. So I'd be wondering what kind of a fencing you're going to put all around your property. And when you said, oh, there'll be nothing going, no egress or anything going in and out of that place, but my biggest concern why I'm here is the intersection itself. Would be nice if as you're getting your permit application, that you talk to the MDOT and see if they could put a light there, since you're putting so many extra people coming into this area. I don't know if anybody likes that, but it's hard to get across the street if you're going to the park, if you're going to the grocery store. And I had a real funny question. I'm wondering if could you sell any of you mentioned that you could sell this to anybody who wants to have that property. Could you just sell property and not sell them the property with anything on it? That was a question. I had one more concern that I wanted to ask about. Okay, that was it. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. All right, that's all I had on my list. Was there anyone else? Do you have a Carter? Sure.
Yeah, I'm Herb Roth from Bay Harbor Club, and again, we live in probably one of the most beautiful areas in Michigan, if not the country, between two of the most beautiful lakes, and not the world. And the people that live here live in houses, and I honestly don't see much advantage to anyone living in the area by this type of development. To me, it increases the traffic, the congestion. And again, you mentioned building a bit at a time. I mean, that kind of sounds like really a kind of a half-baked way to do something. So I think it goes against what the Torch Lake, the township master plan is and the ideas of the area, and also the people that live in the area. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with no more public comments, any concerns? Any of you guys have any concerns that you want to bring up?
We need more planning commission members. We need ones that could actually be at the meeting.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm glad to see you here. Jim.
anybody out there? Anybody know anybody? Other than that, no.
It's a 7-member board. You have to be a resident of the township to be able to serve. You have to be 18 and a registered voter.
All right. Did you have anything, Sarah?
No.
No? Okay.
I want to field.
So I don't know how it works with this pre-application conference, but as I tried to mention a couple of times, we would like to come away from this with any kind of solid direction. And we've got a lot of good comments, a lot of thoughts, and a whole bunch of notes. But in order for us to decide whether to pursue this at all, I need to know something official from the township. And I know this meeting tonight is not for any kind of formal action. It's not what I'm asking for. But what is the mechanism by which we get the feedback to us on, as it mentions here, the purpose of the conference is to ensure the applicant has a clear understanding of the requirements of this ordinance. So other than me having read this 43 times, which I've done, what from you all is it possible for us to get? And I usually have to answer that right now, but I guess I'd like to know at some point if it comes out of this. Please.
I think, are you guys gonna schedule time to sit down and go through? Or are you gonna look through? I'm concerned that there may not be any way to make it,
Right. I mean, that pre-application conference is something you sit down with me at versus a conceptual review for your site plan approval. So if you, I mean, they've asked their questions about it. I think that, the clear understanding of the zoning ordinance is you need to tell us what the use is so that we can tell you if it's allowed in that district or not. And then tell you the process to be able to go through for that use.
And I have a lot of questions about what the use is. I'm still very confused on what it is that is going to happen here. So I would think at the very least, this would require another conceptual review here after we figure out whether or not it even fits with the zoning plan.
Right.
That's my view.
Right.
So.
The use is storage. The use is a storage use. It's a flexible type of a storage use. It could be, again, it's limited only to the creativity of the owners, obviously subject to whatever laws the township has in place. The comment about could these be used as businesses, I think absolutely not. A business would come and have to get some kind of approval, certificate of occupancy, some kind of license to operate from the township. And that would just be cut off right at the knees. That would never happen. That's not our intent. I don't think we would allow that. So storage is the primary use of this facility, but it's a way better look. It's not, I mean, I don't know, the gentleman isn't here, but what's next to us is not our idea of a high-end storage. It's not, certainly not the bigger vehicles, big boats, big RVs, things that people have that they might want to store in their own private garage. As Mike mentions, there's a development, and I've kind of mentioned it too, up in between Plaza and Charlotte, I think, where they're building these something like this now. Okay, little different, but very, very similar concept. It is the concept where it's an open space. Our intent to build these, what we would sell is an open space intended for storage, but not the storage where you want to hurry up and get out of because there's animals living in there with you. It's a nice place to come.
Those up there are also.
Well, it might be a different township where it permits that. Here, we could put it into the bylaws of the condominium. You do not live here. You don't have a license to live here, subject to fines, penalties, whatever. It's not the idea. If those are livable, it must be because somebody has finished one out in such a way that maybe they put a cot or something in there. Those have a big interior open space with kind of a mezzanine, little sitting area that you could walk up and sit like right in front of these tall windows here. You can come up over top of your storage and build yourself a platform and just have a little room there, a little family room, a little hangout place. So really, the use is storage. I mean, the ordinance does allow for RV, boat, similar type storages that is specifically listed there. And that's the avenue that we're pursuing in this plan. It's not for
Okay.
everyone.
all right.
Mike Weaver is with us. He
I'm
represents.
actually representing the seller of the property, so I'm not representing these guys, but my background might lend some credibility to what they're saying. My background is in banking at senior level for many years. I've financed many of these around lakes and other areas, and they've all of them are very nice. They've all sold out. They've done very well. Oftentimes there's a clubhouse, and it is kind of for hanging out, but if you can imagine, you got a classic car. You don't want it in the garage, but you do. You want to go work on your car and tinker with it, have a beer or two, and polish that car up, get it shiny inside and out. That's where you're going to go hang out.
That's what I'm trying to force, full occupancy for those buildings, because
Well,
if you have somebody,
it's-
if you
no.
have somebody sleeping in a motorhome, how are you gonna stop them from sleeping in the family?
Well, right now, I have people sleeping on the property all the time, right? So I got a problem with that too. You can pretty much sleep at any rest area. So I don't know that you can understand.
Sarah, what's the best way
This
to
is,
handle all the
but this
questions?
is not the purpose of this. The purpose
I
isn't to
mean,
live
it's
there.
just
Hey.
because we don't have a clear
Right.
application.
Hello, we're not here to go back and forth. I don't have time for that. Well, this isn't the protocol. This is not how you follow things.
But this is more of a. it's
Well,
more-
now I'm not. We're shutting it down.
It's more of a high-end storage unit where people, it's like more of a glorified man cave. And I have financed many, they have done very well. There's one in particular down by one of the largest freshwater lake in northern Indiana. that I financed in Syracuse. It's a beautiful facility. It doesn't put a hindrance on the traffic. It's not even on really a main road. It's gated. It has a little community house and units very similar to this. I've been there probably 8-10 times after the construction. Traffic is not a problem. There aren't cars parked all over. Nobody lives in them. It's just a higher end. The bathroom's there. If you're gonna hang out for 3-4 hours, polishing your car, and you wanna have a beer, and you can go to a clubhouse, and it's big enough to have a meeting of maybe 5 or 6 people. Little half bath there, little kitchenette, and it's just kind of a gathering place where people can go. Aren't there ordinances around Torch Lake where you can't keep your trailers and things outside, right along the lake? For your RVs, for whatever.
Yep.
trailers.
Sure do.
So this is more of just a high-end storage unit for people that want to pay for a high-end storage unit and have that little more of a classier place to go hang out and polish the cars. So when they use an example of RV, people that are going to live there, the experience I've had in financing these, I can't even remember that ever being an issue we're having. And that's something that should be addressed in the homeowner association. I mean, they're condos, so you have condo rules that people are going to know before they sign into it. So if the community feels like, oh, we don't want anyone staying in motorhomes there, which I agree with, that should just be part of the homeowner bylaws. And so you accommodate it with that. So to call like I think the reason I want to speak is I think you're kind of missing the concept. The concept's out there. It's not storage. It's not a campground. It's not someplace people go to sleep in. But it's a concept that's been very successful. So here, I'm not standing up here to pick sides with anything. I just kind of feel like you're kind of misunderstanding what the concept of this is and how it's been used elsewhere. I'd suggest maybe you give them some examples of some in other places that they could see, and then they'd have a better idea of what it is. Because it's not traffic intensive. And it is a nice addition.
So since you're back, is there outdoor parking? I forgot to ask that before. Mr. Agar brought it up for us.
Only in front of each unit, really only room for a car while you're there. There's not gonna be a parking lot where you can go leave several vehicles. There's certainly not gonna be any boat storage allowed outside. The whole idea here is this is all inside, high-end, clean, luxury storage.
Which is very much in line with the projects that I financed in the past and developed. So
It's fairly recent, I would think.
yeah, it's last
popular in the last decade or so.
Yeah, last 10 years, I'd say.
But there is absolutely a demand for them.
I just wanted to speak, and thank you for allowing me to, just kind of clarify what the concept is, because I kind of feel like you're not understanding what the concept is. And I do have some real-life experience from being in the industry I was in to kind of lend to that, so I just thought I'd pass that along.
I will send you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple examples that we're kind of modeled this off of, but we're trying to improve it.
Good.
Yeah, I think I must have missed this in my packet, this part of
Well, I
it.
didn't have it digitally, that's why.
Okay.
I didn't know it was here.
Gotcha. All right. So I don't know if
Yep.
some of these questions or, just that concept information is in here. I'm guessing it's probably not really though. So maybe just something written up that would make it really clear, defined what you're looking for, what you're not looking for, and talking to Sarah with any questions on how the ordinance would accommodate or block anything that you had intended would be good. And
I
then,
think that's a great suggestion. And we can have a better review of it
Yeah.
when we understand the concept better and how it would fit into the community.
Each of you or just to one person, because it's been our experience that, we've been doing this for a year and a half. We're not getting the response that as a business person, you ascertain to move forward with the decision. We don't get a response. We don't get a return phone call. I bought a plane ticket a month ago. It was on the plane when I found out the meeting was canceled. Someone was sick. How it works for you.
So, was the question where to send it to?
My question is, who would we send it to get a response?
Okay, well, I believe just the zoning administrator, with that email address would be the one that you'd want.
And if we have a problem with that, is there someone that we can speak to answer that?
You should be able to call up to the office.
So this is Torch Lake Township. It's a part-time office, part-time staff. It's not full-time like any other city or anything like that. So,
And we've been struggling to have a quorum. They just keep I get it, yeah.
Can't get that, and I see your guys' money, maybe those. You want to do the best we can for everything.
Thank you for your understanding. All right, so if there weren't any more, no concerns, you didn't have anything, Sarah?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I knew it. All in
Second.
favor? Okay, yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 8 o'clock on the dot.
Look at that.